Download Whiskey Hell Podcast. We call attention to the mainstream media narratives weekly in hopes that you'll have fun with how ridiculous the news really is. We don't want to change your mind. We just want to give you perspective so that you can choose more wisely and be more aware. Couple that with great craft beer, hilarious stories, deep thoughts, and real conversations. We know you're going to enjoy it. Download Whiskey Hell Podcast anywhere you find outstanding shows.
Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? Hush.
Hello, and welcome back, World Ablaze listeners. Before I start the show, I just want to remind everybody to please share the show with others, and if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button so that you are made aware of new episodes as they come out. If anybody would like to reach us, who would like to talk to me, you may send me a message at our email, which is worldablaze@fontsmedia.com. That's FONTES media.com. And I'm also on X or Twitter, however you want to refer to that platform. I am at World Ablaze. Now, this has been an interesting, very eventful 2024. So much is happening, so much is coming out, so much is being exposed. And it feels like the powers that be are really restless and desperate, almost as if they're trying to speed things up to whatever outcome that they are trying to get out of their grand master plan here. And well, heck, it's been a shit show, everybody. And before I move forward, you know what? I just have to do it. I have to do it. Open me a nice beer, and I'm gonna sip me a nice cold one. And cheers to every single one out there that is listening to the show. And I'm recording this as of June 6th. It's probably around, let's say 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So, for all those getting off work, maybe going to work, don't want to work, here's to you. Oh, that is nice. Yep, definitely needed that. Especially with everything that's going on. I'm not going to rehash the Fauci thing. I know everybody's expecting me to do so. I know it. I know. I've been asked many times by many individuals, people. But look, it's out there. We all saw it. He's been grilled. He's been put on trial. Well, not trial, but under questioning, congressional hearing anyway. And there's nothing he can say. There's nothing that he can say to convince anyone that he is the good guy in all this. He literally went out of his way to treat the entire world as a huge experiment and really ruin lives, ruin businesses across the globe, not just America. I mean, he has committed crimes against the world. He's been, I mean, his feet have been held to the fire by legitimate doctors and other Congress persons. But seriously, Marjorie Taylor Greene, though, this is what gets me. While Marjorie Taylor Greene was really going at him and getting him to try to answer questions to hold him accountable, she even made a statement. She said, you know what we should be doing instead of just questioning you, and I'm paraphrasing, but she said that you should be on trial right now and being prosecuted and charged and put in jail. You know, that statement right there she made really pissed me off, because what is the point of holding these congressional hearings? What is the point of these congressional investigations if we're not going to fucking do anything? I mean, what's going to actually happen to Fauci? You know what's going to happen? Nothing. That's why he never looks like he even cares, because he knows, what is this, a slap on the hand? Is this just a way to embarrass him? That's it? He doesn't care, because there's nothing going to come of this. They're not going to prosecute him. They're not going to put him in jail. He's going to get away with everything that he did. And of course, he tried to claim, oh, I didn't make any money on anything. You know, this guy is so full of shit that for everything that he did do, we all know he did. We all experienced it. The whole world, not just America, the whole world took his advice. The man needs to serve prison time indefinitely, period. Some may even say he should be executed. Now, I'm not going to go that far, but everyone feels the same about this man. Fauci, he's a terrible person. He's a criminal, and he's created multiple instances of hardship. He's basically just went out and destroyed our planet during the COVID pandemic while fattening his pocket, putting money in the bank, and literally knowing that he would get away with it. And he did. And that's what I'm going to say about him, because there's been so much that's come out already. You can go ahead and dig into everything that's been going on with Fauci. But it seems that the world agrees. This man needs to go to jail. And with that being said, I will now administer the Fauci Flush. Now, as if that was not enough to have confirmation of how evil and sinister and bad that Fauci is, we now are seeing the pressures of trying to hold out and suppress information by the Biden family really getting to the Biden family. It's all coming out. And I'm not sure if anyone's been paying attention, because the Hunter Biden trial that's going on right now, it's kind of being talked about, kind of not being talked about, because, of course, everyone's really more focused on Trump, focused on what's going on with Fauci. But here's what's going on. And this is going to lead to other things that may really lead to the end of our world as we know it in 2024 or 2025. I know it sounds conspiratorial, but just hang on, bear with me. Let me get to it. So Hunter Biden right now is facing gun charges. I think it's 3 federal gun charges. Okay. There are multiple witnesses that were backing him up that are all turning on him and coming out and basically just testifying to his character, his horrendous and crazy drug use. In fact, one girlfriend, I believe ex-girlfriend, was even testifying that he looked forward to, the first thing he did when he woke up was basically just get on crack. The guy is a crack addict. He also just does horrible things with young girls. I mean, prostitutes, you name it. The guy is just not a good person. Really not a good person. Almost as if he was the son of the devil. So everything's catching up to Hunter. And even more, the Biden family feels it. Because even a headline here from Politico, I mean, I'm recording this right now, June 6th. This came out like 2 hours ago. It says here, Biden himself, Joe Biden, says he will not pardon his son Hunter if he is convicted, if he's found guilty. Really? Now that's interesting. So is Joe Biden now trying to distance himself and save his ass? Which I don't know how that's going to happen, because there's a lot of evidence that ties Joe Biden to deals with foreign nations, selling information, making money on peddling influence. I mean, don't think that by you, Joe, making the statement about not pardoning your son if he's convicted, it's going to get you off the hook, because it's not. So about that laptop, by the way, so there was an FBI witness that completely blew up the Hunter Biden legal team's laptop narrative. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open this article and read that to you. This is from the Independent Journal Review. It says here, Hunter Biden's legal team has sought to cast doubt on the authenticity of data on the laptop, which their client abandoned at a Delaware repair shop. Remember that when he left his laptop at a repair shop back in 2019? A laptop with sensitive information, damning videos, and other nefarious acts that he performed. I mean, seriously? There's a level of people that that we're dealing with. But anyway, sorry, get back to the laptop here, this article. Okay. While prosecutors have introduced the laptop's contents as evidence in their case against Hunter Biden, in prior court filings, special counsel David Weiss called their criticism of the laptop's authenticity a conspiracy theory with no supporting evidence. But when asked by prosecutor Derek Hines if she had seen evidence that Hunter Biden's laptop had been tampered with, Jensen, so they didn't say this, but Jensen is the witness that I was talking about. So that where I started, where it said when asked by prosecutor Derek Hines, and said they're referring to Jensen, who's the FBI witness. So kind of felt like I skipped over, but I'm just actually reading the article. So basically, she said that the laptop hadn't been tampered. It just hadn't been tampered with, according to multiple reports. So moving on the article, Hunter Biden was indicted in September on felony gun charges for allegedly making false statements on a gun purchase form and knowingly possessing a gun while addicted to drugs. Prosecutors are using data from the laptop as evidence in the trial to demonstrate Hunter Biden was addicted to drugs at the time of the purchase. After the New York Post first reported the laptop's contents in 2020, former intelligence officials issued a public statement claiming it has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. The outlet was censored on Twitter following its publication of the report. So New York Post was censored on Twitter after reporting that everything has the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation, and all of this referring to the laptop. Okay. Now, Hunter Biden's attorneys previously argued that the laptop may have been tampered with by someone other than Mr. Biden. So they were trying to cast doubt, saying, hold on, this laptop was tampered by someone else. This really can't be accurate data. But Jensen, the witness here, she clarified on the witness stand that some data, okay, says some of the data that they're using against Hunter, not all the data. And that's a very important thing to remember here, because there's a lot of data that implicates and ties Hunter, his uncle, and his dad, the Biden family, to crimes against America. But getting back to Jensen, so she did clarify that some data came directly from Hunter Biden's iCloud account, not from the laptop itself. Well, that changes things, because you can't really tamper with an iCloud account. And they got this directly from Apple via a subpoena. That's how they're able to get this information from Hunter Biden's iCloud account. So that's interesting. And it's funny how the FBI and the media are flipping. You know, it goes from, oh, this was tampered with, this was Russian disinformation, this was a ploy by, Joe Biden's opponents to try to, create a hoax, to, create negative implications against Joe Biden and the family. But here we are on the witness stand, and an FBI witness. Suddenly the FBI is flipping against the Bidens. And Joe Biden himself is putting his hands up, washing his hands, and just saying, hey, if my son's guilty, fuck him. I'm not pardoning him. Might not be a good move there, Joe. So with all this going on, they're getting closer and closer. Listen, if they're only talking about the little bit of information they got off the laptop that will tie Hunter to the gun charges, which, by the way, are 3 separate federal gun charges. But we got to be concerned about all the information that the FBI received, because the rest of the information, this is what they're scared of. And what happens when bad news comes out, when things start to get closer and closer and closer, and that grip is just tightening up on you? What do most politicians and even presidents do when they know it's getting to the end? Well, they start wars, don't they? Because, hey, everybody loves a war, right? And what better way to really suppress everybody's information other than trying to start World War III? You're probably saying, George, what the fuck are you saying? World War III? Yeah. if you're sleeping on this and you haven't been paying attention, because of course all everyone cares about is Trump, Israel, and now Fauci. And even though Hunter Biden's being prosecuted, and there's a lot of information coming out, not just about the gun charges, but about, the authenticity of the data collected, which will also lead to implications and charges more than likely against the entire Biden family for crimes against America. We start a war. How did we do that? Well, we didn't really start it yet, but Biden, in all of his wisdom, has authorized that Ukraine can use American missiles to attack Russia. So, New York Times, this is a pretty recent article, just came out maybe a couple days ago. President Biden, in a major shift, pressed by his advisors and key allies. Now, that's an important statement before I go forward. President Biden's already given himself an out by saying he made this decision under duress, which we all know is complete bullshit, but reading on. So, he has authorized Ukraine to conduct limited strikes inside Russia with American-made weapons, opening what could well be a new chapter in the war for Ukraine. Of course it is. All right, Mr. Biden's decision appears to mark the first time that an American president has allowed limited military responses on artillery, missile bases, and command centers inside the borders of a nuclear-armed adversary. Again, let's not forget, Russia is what? A nuclear-armed adversary. Reading on, it says, White House officials insisted, however, that the authorization extended only to what they characterize as acts of self-defense, so that Ukraine could protect its second largest city. I can't really pronounce it. I think it's Kharkiv. It's Kharkiv, so I'm just going to say Kharkiv. If you want to correct me, you're welcome to do so. It also goes on to say the president recently directed his team to ensure that Ukraine is able to use U.S.-supplied weapons for counterfire purposes in the Kharkiv region, so Ukraine can hit back against Russian forces that are attacking them or preparing to attack them. A U.S. official said in a statement issued by the administration, our policy with respect to prohibiting the use of ATACMS, I guess, which is ATACMS. So, okay, ATACMS. Great acronym. Or also long-range strikes inside of Russia has not changed. The statement continued, referring to an artillery system provided to Ukraine that was the capability to reach deep inside Russian territory. So, they are now officially giving Ukraine permission to use U.S. weapons against Russia. All right. Well, so what did Mr. Biden have to say about this? Well, there was an exclusive ABC News here. Looks like David Muir, M-U-I-R, interviewed Biden about this. And I'm going to play that clip right here so that you can hear what Biden has to say for himself.
And I asked him about Ukraine and about the U.S. now authorizing the use of American weapons inside Russia and Vladimir Putin's warning about this overnight. I wanted to ask you about Ukraine. I know for years you resisted the idea of American weapons being used for any sort of direct strike inside Russia. But we did witness this shift in recent days, authorizing American weapons for limited direct strikes. Are American weapons being used right now inside Russia?
They're authorized to be used in proximity to the border. We're not authorizing strikes 200 miles into Russia. We're not authorizing strikes on Moscow, on the Kremlin.
Let me ask you about what Vladimir Putin said last night about this authorization of American weapons inside Russia. He said the supply of high-precision weapons to Ukraine for strikes on Russian territory is direct participation in this war. He went on to say that this is the way to serious problems, and again talked about Russia's nuclear capabilities. Does that concern you?
I've known him for over 40 years. He's concerned me for 40 years. He's not a decent man. He's a dictator, and he's struggling to make sure he holds this country together while still keeping this assault going. We're not talking about giving them weapons to strike Moscow, to strike the Kremlin, to strike just across the border where they're receiving significant fire from conventional weapons used by the Russians to go into Ukraine to kill Ukrainians.
Okay, Joe. So your justification is it's okay now to support Ukraine directly and come out and saying you're supporting Ukraine with weapons so they can use them against a nuclear adversary, because you're not saying that it's okay for them to launch them 200 miles into Russia and they can't attack the capital. Like, okay, Joe, what's going to stop Ukraine from doing whatever the fuck they want to do? And also, coincidentally, it's not just the U.S. that has authorized this. Other NATO countries are coming out and doing the same thing. What do you think Putin's going to do? Well, Putin has responded. I have an article here that just came out recently from Fox. It reads, Putin also reaffirmed Moscow's readiness to use nuclear weapons if it sees a threat to its sovereignty. Well, there you have it. And if you look at it from Putin's point of view, it looks like their sovereignty is being threatened. Now, we can all agree that the war against Ukraine in modern times, to be quite honest, doesn't make any sense. But can you blame Putin? I mean, they are surrounding the borders with NATO allies almost seems daily. They've done everything they can to basically make Putin feel threatened by surrounding the border with nothing but NATO allies, or Western allies, if you want to call it. And while I don't believe the war on Ukraine is warranted or even needed, especially in modern times, I mean, really, are we going to have wars over land disputes? But it's not just a land dispute war. It's a response to the encroachment on their borders by the U.S. and by NATO. Putin knows this. We don't want to admit it. The U.S. isn't going to admit what's going on, but that is what's happening. And so Putin has already threatened. He just threatened, hey, he will use nuclear weapons. He will use them. He is not afraid to. Now, I'm not really sure what kind of response we expect from Putin here, other than that he will use nuclear weapons. He's already threatening. It says right here, here's another article. It says that Vladimir Putin warns Russia can provide weapons for strikes on Western allies. So aside from him saying he would use nuclear weapons, precision nuclear weapons, he's also saying that, well, look, two can play this game. You're going to encroach on my borders and surround me with allies and now supply weapons to these allies so that they can attack me. Well, then I'm going to also now supply weapons to my allies so they can attack Western countries or NATO countries. There's nowhere to go from here except for all-out war. Biden's decision was a stupid one. And he can claim all he wants is under duress, but you're the president, so you're supposed to make these tough decisions. You're not supposed to be pressured into making decisions that can lead to a world war. But yet here we are. And then don't forget about China's relationship. So while all this is going on, and this is why I say there has to be some kind of crazy plan. They're trying to get to the end game of their plan by speeding everything up, because we forget about China. So about a day ago, another article came out, like literally about, I would say 2 days ago, this is June 6th, came out June 4th, that the U.S. is now also trying to get nuclear warheads in South Korea. Okay, so who's right there in that area? Japan, China, North Korea. Now we can all agree North Korea is crazy, but China backs North Korea. But you also have Japan there, one of our allies. So you got South Korea, our ally. You got Japan, who's our ally. And then you got one of the biggest opponents to the U.S. ever, militarily, economically, you name it, China. So that Asian Pacific region could become a hotbed of activity. And under Biden's watch, while he's antagonizing Russia, at the same time, they're authorizing to send nuclear warheads in South Korea for just in case. I'm sorry, but is Biden stupid? Is he really trying to drag all of us into World War III? I mean, what in the fuck is he thinking? And where are we going to run to? This is going to be one of those wars where it's going to be beyond what World War II is, because we have far superior weapons in terms of administering damage and death and destruction. There's going to be nowhere for anybody on Earth to hide if this kicks off. And in other news, just so you know, the U.S. Department of Defense and the Biden administration is now talking about really ramping up and re-administering the draft. Now, tell me that's not a coincidence. So we're antagonizing Russia. We're backing NATO. Well, we always back NATO, but we're backing Ukraine with the use of our weapons and authorizing publicly for them to use them. Other NATO countries follow. Now we're sending nuclear warheads. We're trying to put nuclear warheads in South Korea, in the Asian Pacific region, which makes no fucking sense, because you're literally telling China, hey, knock, knock, motherfucker, I'm here. And then you're also putting Japan at risk, a small nation who's one of our allies, but still, in South Korea, neither of those two alone can hold up against the might of China. I'm just going to be very honest. Biden is making stupid decisions. And whoever's in charge right now, I mean, I'm not even sure if it's Biden, but with everything going on, how can we not think that there's some grand scheme, some grand plan? With everything that's happening, that's unraveling for the Biden administration, for the Democrats, and for other world organizations, they are marching us right down the road to destruction. And it really, really feels like the end is near for everyone, at least for our way of life, because if this whole thing kicks off, I'm telling you, you may just sweep this episode I put out under the rug and call me crazy and say, hey, you sound like a conspiracy theorist. But you know what? I just read the articles. This is happening. Putin's pissed. China's not happy. You tell me how we're supposed to take this. Because I guarantee you can't. If shit hits the fan, which seems like it might very well soon, we're all in trouble. And guess what? You're not going to be dodging the draft on this one. Everyone will be conscripted to go fight this war. Well, I think I'm going to end it there. Well, I'm going to end it with a beer first. That was pretty heavy. Damn. Now, this is one of my shorter episodes, but I think that was some pretty heavy news, given the situation that everyone's going through in this world. But appreciate everybody for hanging in there. And remember, share the show, like the show, subscribe to the show, give me 5-star reviews, and we'll see you next time.
I wanna taste your content, hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell.